Welcome back to another edition of History in Your Own Backyard. I'm Susie Selleck, and today we are in Mount Orab, Ohio, at St. Michael's Catholic Church. I'm joined by Dan Otto. Dan, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So let's get down to it. I understand that this establishment didn't start in the location that we're standing. Rather, it started at a saloon.
That's right. It started in Mount Orab back in 44, 45, something like that. There was no Catholic church in Mount Orab at that time. So some parishioners got together, or some Catholics got together, and contacted the archdiocese. And they wanted to get a church started. So the Monsignor down there had sent the priest out to establish one, and it was established in a building in Mount Orab called the Old Bucket Saloon. It wasn't really a saloon then, but that's what they made it into the church. So the Monsignor started that, and I think they had 22 parishioners that they had when it started.
Now, your mom was
My mom was
one of the originals,
Verona Otto. She was a original member. Yes.
And back then, it was not always St. Michael's Catholic Church, right? Back then
it was the Congregation of Christ.
Congregation Mother of Christ?
Mother of Christ, that's it. Yes.
Okay. So, and then when did that name change?
It changed when they moved to this location. It changed to St. Michael's Church. So probably 1946, 47, somewhere in there, it actually changed names.
Now, we say that, but before it came here, it was in a different location, right next door?
Yes, there was a old farmhouse that was next door to here, which was the property was sold to the archdiocese, and they come up and had an old farmhouse. So they remodeled the farmhouse. The priest and the parishioners that was there redone it, and they was in that building, the old house, till 1956, when they built the present building that we're in now.
Yes. And this is a great building, which I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the features of this church. But we were talking earlier. You said something about with Vatican II, a lot of things changed with the structural setup. Can you talk to me a little bit about that and what we have here now?
Well, the main thing changed was the changing of the altar, which the altar was always, the priest had to back to the parishioners. And the main thing there was they turned the altar around, and it faces the parishioners, and it's just a stone type altar.
All right. Now the wood paneling, when did that come in? Because that absolutely looks beautiful here.
The paneling went up as soon as when the altar got turned around. The contractor come in. They had to do it very quickly so it wouldn't be tore up, so we could have church and everything.
Dan, there's a couple of the original wooden statues that you have. Those were from the first church?
Yes. There's 3 statues that we have, and they came from the church, which was over in the old farmhouse.
So Dan, you guys did a refurbishing back in the 2000s. What came with that? What did that entail? Well,
we had all new pews put in. The old pews we had, you only had one. You could only go up the center. You couldn't. The pews went clear to the walls, so it really was unorthodox to try to do anything in here. And then we also had the stained glass windows put in. They just had regular windows at that time, but then they went to the stained glass, and the stained windows sort of tell a story from beginning on around the way Christ was when he was born, and on down to the crucifixion and then the resurrection. So they kind of, if you go around, you can kind of figure out what happened then.
Yeah. Dan, tell us about the Stations of the Cross.
All right, the Stations of the Cross that are in here now was put in 2000 when we refurbished the building. But our original Stations of the Cross was built or made by our priest, Father Andres, and his brother. He designed them and made them, and
you don't know where they are?
I don't know where they're at. No, I don't know what happened to them or anything. Things sort of disappear, when you remodel.
You tell me about treasures, and I don't even get to see them.
I know.
Dan, let's talk a little bit about the future of the church. You guys have this beautiful space, like 22 acres of land here. And we were talking earlier about how there are 2 priests for like 5 towns. And can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because I want to maybe know a little bit about future thoughts here.
Okay, we've always been the mission church, so we've never had our own priest. We've always had to share priests. And we'd get a priest from Fayetteville for a while, for a few years, and then it just depends on what the archdiocese wanted to do. Then they would switch from Georgetown, we would get a priest.
Right.
Somewhere around in 2000, since there was only 2 priests in the county, Father Byers, who was at Arnheim at St. Mary's, became our pastor, and he had 3 churches to cover then. So we've been that way, but they've also talked about making a central church in the county. And we have the property, and Mount Orab is centrally located in the county, but there again, that's up to the archdiocese.
And you yourself, you were baptized here, right?
Yes.
And married here.
Baptized here and confirmed here, married here.
That's great.
I may have my funeral here.
Oh, let's not go there yet. But well, how about this? Your congregation, are you noticing that there are, some young people coming through and putting their kids through the CCD classes and that kind of thing?
Not as much as it did some years back. It just seems like there's not as many parishioners that people want to go to church.
Yeah.
And you almost have to have something to draw them in. They're just not all completely religious. They want something to give them an idea to come to church. It's hard to bring people in. The parish has gotten smaller. We don't have near the families we used to, but we have enough where we're surviving, to keeping our head above water. And so we go from there.
Well, I noticed the pleasant smell of some really good fish. Was that from yesterday's fish fry?
Yes. Last year we started having fish fries during Lent. We had the assistance from the KSC, the Knights of Columbus, that helped us out. That was last year. This year we had all new equipment. We bought our own equipment, and we're having fish fries during Lent. Well, and they've turned out real good.
I was going to say, your wife said it's the best in like 5 counties, so I trust her. I trust her.
Yes.
Thank you for watching another edition of History in Your Own Backyard. I'm Susie Selleck, and today we're in Mount Orab, Ohio at St. Michael's Catholic Church. And Dan Otto, thank you so much for giving us some history and insight on the church today.
You're very welcome.
Yep. Remember, travel slowly and stop often. Bye for now.